The implementation gap is the distance between the law on paper and the reality on the ground. You can pass a law mandating universal access, but if there are no clinics, the law is a fiction. This gap is usually filled by rulemaking. When Congress passes a law, they often write broad, vague language. They say, the EPA shall regulate safe water. They leave it to the agency experts to define what safe means, how many parts per billion of lead are allowed, and how to test for it. This rulemaking process is where the industry lobbyists really go to work, often gutting the law in the fine print. But even after the rules are written, they have to be enforced by humans. Michael Lipsky coined the term street-level bureaucracy. He argued that the true policymakers are not the people in Washington, they are the people on the street. The police officer deciding whether to arrest a homeless man or drive him to a shelter. The teacher deciding whether to suspend a student or send them to the counselor. The triage nurse deciding who waits. These workers have immense discretion. Because they are overworked and under-resourced, they often develop coping mechanisms, shortcuts, that become the de facto policy. If you don't understand their reality, your policy will fail. This creates a principal-agent problem. The principal, the legislature, wants a certain outcome. They hire an agent, the bureaucracy, to do it. But the agent has more information than the principal. The doctor knows more about the patient than the insurance company does. The teacher knows more about the classroom than the school board does. This information asymmetry allows the agent to shirk, to do what they want rather than what they were told. Implementation is essentially a struggle for control between the remote principal and the knowledgeable agent. There are two ways to manage this. Top-down implementation uses strict rules, checklists, and monitoring. Think of McDonald's. Every burger is the same. This ensures consistency, but kills innovation. Bottom-up implementation gives the frontline workers resources and autonomy and says, you figure it out. This allows for customization, but risks inconsistency. In healthcare, we are constantly fighting this battle. Do we want doctors to follow a strict algorithm, top-down, or use their clinical judgment, bottom-up? Usually, we need a hybrid. A great model of this hybrid approach is the Evergreen framework used by the Mental Health Commission of Canada. The central government set the goals, the what, such as reducing youth suicide by 20%, but allowed each province and community to design their own strategy, the how. They recognize that a suicide prevention program in downtown Toronto needs to look very different from one in a remote Inuit village. They avoided the one-size-fits-all trap. They demanded results, not compliance with a rigid process. The biggest killer of implementation is lack of capacity. You simply cannot implement what you cannot do. If you pass a law requiring smaller class sizes, but don't fund the construction of new classrooms or the hiring of new teachers, the law is a lie. This is the problem of the unfunded mandate. The federal government tells the states to do something, but gives them no money to do it. Capacity isn't just money, it's staff, technology, and culture. If the staff doesn't believe in the new policy, they will sabotage it through inertia. Implementation is also a political minefield. There are veto points even after the law passes. The opposition doesn't give up. They just move to a new venue. They sue in court to block the regulations. The unions strike to block the work rules. They leak stories to the media about government waste. A savvy policy analyst anticipates these veto points. You don't just write the rule, you design a defense strategy for the rule. You have to win the peace after you win the war. The classic example of implementation failure is the launch of healthcare.gov in 2013. The policy, the ACA, was passed. The subsidies were funded, but the website crashed. For weeks, people couldn't sign up. The entire legitimacy of the presidency was threatened, not by a philosophical argument, but by bad coding. The policy experts in the White House didn't understand IT, and the IT contractors didn't understand the policy. It proved the axiom. Implementation asterisk is asterisk policy. If the website doesn't work, the law doesn't exist. To conclude, Lesson 1, do not declare victory when the bill passes. That is just the starting gun. You must build the machine that delivers the goods. You must respect the street-level bureaucrat who has to make it work on a Tuesday morning. Design your policy for the messy, underfunded reality of the world, not for the perfect theory of the seminar room. In the next lesson, we will look at a specific law, EMTALA, and how its implementation reshaped the entire American hospital system.